Hey, viewers, George here to talk about a game that I was anticipating when I first heard about it, when I first got into the series earlier this year. And that game is, of course, Shin Megami Tensei 4, that is on the 3DS, the Nintendo 3DS, might I add. And what can one expect from a Shin Megami Tensei game? I'm just gonna... Oh, that's not even high enough. I was like, oh, look, I got a little thing I can put here, but that's not going to work. So, what can you expect from a Shin Megami Tensei game? Well, the typical tropes of it being is it's an RPG where you recruit demons and you battle demons, and that's essentially what it is. Though it does step away from a couple of tropes that you're used to seeing. For starters, the setting of the game is actually in a feudal Japan era, which is much different. Usually it takes place in modern Tokyo, because shit happens in Tokyo. But the interesting thing, though, is that although it does take place in a feudal era, essentially, the outfits for the characters don't really look that feudal era. So there is a bit of the modern look of it still seeping in. If you just give me a second, there is actually a picture here. There we go. It's good. So, like, these are the two main characters, and as you can tell from the main set of clothing, is it has a bit of a modern lookish to some of the characters, but it takes place in the feudal era because there's castles, samurais, and kings, and whatever else you expect to be in that kind of era. I like it. It's nice. It's a nice little change of pace if you're used to constantly seeing the same thing within the SMT games, the Shin Megami Tensei guys. Anyways, so right to the heart of it. When I heard this game, I've never played one of the main series of the Shin Megami games. I've always, much like anyone else, I've played a lot of the spin-offs or the side parts of it. You know, the Personas, Devil's Thunder, Devil... whatever the other one is, Devil Survivor, and Soul Hacker, all those other side ones. So when the fourth installment of the main series was coming out, I was really interested because I was like, what's the difference between them? Not a whole lot other than story. I mean, like I said, if you've played a Shin Megami Tensei game, you know what you're getting yourself into. And that is a Shin Megami Tensei game. So, like I had said earlier, you do a lot of the same things. You go around, you can collect demons by talking to them during battle and using your words a little bit wisely, and offering gifts. And if you do things correctly, they'll join you, which is always cool. You level up like you always do. Your demons, of course, level up, and you do a lot of quests. Compared to, I think one of the main things in this one, compared to any of the other ones I can recall playing, is there's quests. I mean, there's not just the main quest, which I'm used to seeing in a lot of the other Shin Megami games, but there's also a bunch of side ones you can do, and I like that. I like it. It gives a bit more, and there's not too much. They don't give you too much freedom to move around, so you're not going to get too distracted by going off to far lands or something like that. With that said, though, the only time you ever move around is actually in the dungeons. So you never actually move around within town. You just scroll through some menus and whatnot to move through the areas and whatnot. And that, I don't know if I really like that. Why couldn't it just been the way that it did, Persona 4 or whatever, where you got to move around the town and whatnot? I like those. I like when it's self-contained enough that I don't get distracted and wander off. But I mean, it still gives you a lot to do within that self-contained areas. So I don't know, a bit of a loss on that part where you only really get to see your character move around within the dungeons. But at the same time, you want to know what? It's still fun. It's still enjoyable. If you like RPGs, I recommend picking this up. If you like Pokemon growing up, but you want like that next step into it, something that's slightly more mature in that sense, then I definitely recommend picking this up. Because, like I said, you collect demons, but you do it in a different way. You don't throw Pokeballs or cards or whatever else things happen. Story. I haven't, much like any other first impression, I haven't gone too far into the game. So, story-wise, I don't see a whole lot happening other than there's these two characters, Jonathan and Walter, who have significance to the plot. I don't know how at the moment, but they do because they keep mentioning their names, and they keep you keep having these dreams where they're like constantly beckoning you to join them to create a new world. Much like any other Shin Megami Tensei game, of course, you're trying to godly create worlds. So there is that, but the main part is your character becomes a samurai, and that's a huge deal, apparently, because every year they have like this big thing, and only so many people, and this year, out of some random luck, 5 people actually get chosen, when like it's rare to have maybe 2 or 1 at sometimes. So that's interesting. And the whole point of samurais is to defeat demons and collect demon shit and whatnot. So that's the game, essentially, is demons. 3D in this game is okay. It's nothing to really, brag about. It stands out the most during cutscenes, which are just still movements of pictures and whatnot. Essentially think motion comic-ish, where like the still images and like the camera pans a bit and zooms and stuff to make them look a little interesting, and of course the models will like change, but there won't be like a full-fledged movement like this. It'll be more like and like something like that. But yeah, I don't really like that. I mean, if you're gonna put cutscenes in, maybe put in a little more work. But on the plus side, there's a ton of voice acting in this, which is really cool because I love my voice acting. If it's a main cast, you'll always hear them talk a lot, so that's cool. Overall, like I said, pick up this game. There's actually, I don't know if I mentioned this, but there is DLC right there, which is just in the way of quests, which gives you like better equipment and stuff like that. So that's really cool. There's DLC on it. It's a really good game. It's a fun RPG. If you like Pokemon, like I said, you would probably really like this because it's sort of like the adult step to that. Let's see. Things like the advertisement on the back. There is more than 400 demons to recruit, collect, and fuse together. So that's really cool. That's bigger than the last one, I think, which had like 300. So there you go. More demons, more fun. None of them you'll actually really recognize unless you're into the series. Decisions between players throughout the course of the story will have lasting repercussions. There we go. You get to make the story make things happen. Of course. So, with that all said and done, with all said and done, definitely pick up this game. Until next time, keep on demon hunting and gaming.